Hello everyone, welcome to the video, Salt here. Today we're going to be doing the 5th video in the anti-faction status guide. And today we are going to be going over the corrupted faction. Okay, so the very first day we did Grineer, then we did Corpus, then we did Infested, then we did Murmur. Then I realized I had mistakenly done Amalgam Corpus instead of regular Corpus, so I actually had to redo the Corpus video, and I have that one up, and I took down the other Corpus video so it didn't confuse any people. And today we're doing Corrupted. So let's talk about Corrupted first and just explain what they are, because there might be a little bit of confusion here, and even me, it took me a while, and I'm still a little bit confused sometimes about them. They're a weird faction. So we'll get into it. So Corrupted are corrupted. They have dudes from the Infested, they have dudes from the Grineer, they have dudes from the Corpus, but they're not of their own faction. Okay, and that's important to know. So normally Infested are weak against fire. Well, guess what? He is corrupted. He is not Infested, so he's not weak against fire. Normally Corpus are weak against magnetic. Well, he is not Corpus technically anymore. He is corrupted, so he is not weak against magnetic. Same thing with Grineer. Usually they're weak against corrosive, but he's no longer Grineer. He's corrupted, so he is not weak against corrosive. But there are some constants that carry over, and it's not necessarily because of the faction. It's because of different things. So let's talk about the Grineer dudes, for instance. So he's not weak against corrosive anymore, but he has armor, and corrosive is still good against armor. So even though he doesn't have the vulnerability to corrosive anymore, corrosive is still a really good element against the corrupted that have armor. And the same thing with this little corrupted crewman down here is, even though he's not Corpus and he's not vulnerable to magnetic is still going to do extra damage to his shields, because that's just what magnetic does. Okay, so that's important to know, that they are not of their original faction, and they do not retain any of that original faction vulnerability or resistances. But some of the stuff carries through just because of, what it is, armor and shields. Okay, so against Corrupted, we are going to be testing 5 different elements. We're going to test Viral, because Corrupted are vulnerable to Viral. So that is all of the Corrupted. And they are resistant to radiation. So they are radiation does less damage against Corrupted. And again, that's against all of the Corrupted, no matter what their model looks like. So we're testing Viral as the first one, and it's just because, well, 1, they're vulnerable to it, and 2, they all have health, except for, well, I mean, the Corrupted crewmen have health too, but they have shields. So we're going to test Viral because of that. We're going to be testing Corrosive, because a large part of the Corrupted faction are the Corrupted Bombards and the Corrupted, quote-unquote Grineer guys. They're not Grineer anymore. So that's why we're testing Corrosive, because it's really good against armor. We're testing Blast, because Blast has just been completely reworked, so it's new, different, and exciting, so I want to see how it does against all the factions. We're testing Gas and Electric, because Gas and Electric has been consistently doing pretty damn good against all these factions that we've been going up against. So those are the 5 we're testing. Just to go over the elements real quickly, Viral is going to give a 325% boost to health damage at a max 10 stacks. Okay, so it doesn't start at 325. It'll start lower, and then at 10 stacks, it'll be a full 325% boost to health damage. Corrosive is going to strip armor, and at a max of 10 stacks, it's going to strip 80% of the target's armor. So it's going to start small, and it'll eventually go up to 80% at 10 stacks. Gas is an AoE dot, so it will go on an enemy. It will project a 3-meter AoE damage over time effect, and each stack increases the range of the gas. So at a max of 10 stacks, that gas cloud will be 10 meters, not 10 meters, sorry, 6 meters, 6 meters at 10 stacks. I wish it was 10. No, 6 meters at 10 stacks. And it's also going to persist on death, which is pretty cool about gas. Electric is another AoE dot, but it works a little bit differently. So electric actually stuns the dude that you apply it to. So it's a little bit of a CC effect as well. The electric is a 3-meter AoE that can't get any bigger. It's just stuck at 3 meters. It's not like gas that can eventually get bigger. So electric is always 3 meters, and it can stack past 10. You can go way crazy high with it, just like you can with heat. So, okay, and then blast. Finally, blast is the last one. I'm actually just going to show blast because it's kind of weird. If you watch the other videos, you probably know what I'm about to do here. So we'll read off blast first, and then I'll show what it does. Okay, blast deals 30% of his base damage after 1.5 seconds. And then it says as an explosion, but it does not explode here. It explodes at the second part of this. So 30% of base damage after 1.5 seconds. Think of it like a dot that ticks one time and then it falls off. Okay, now the second part of blast is at 10 stacks or on death, stacks deal their damage simultaneously to enemies within 5 meters and staggers them. And this is where it actually does the explosion and it does damage. So let's just show that real quick here. I'll choose the big tanky guy here. So I'm gonna shoot him real quick. 1 blast stack, 1 tick of damage. 3 blast stacks, 3 ticks of damage. And then they fall off. Down there. Down there. 5 ticks of damage, and then they fall off. So that's how blast works. Now, if I want to actually make that blast explode, I either have to kill him or I have to get to 10. So let me get to 10 real quick, and then you'll see these guys in the back get staggered. And in the simulacrum, they don't take damage for some reason, but they do in the gameplay. You see that little Grenier corrupted guy? I'm going to keep calling him Grenier and Corpus, but just remember, they're not technically Grenier and Corpus. They are corrupted. But you see him like kind of getting staggered in the back there. And let me see if I don't know if you can see this. I don't know what the stagger animation looks like. Oh, maybe they do take damage in the simulacrum. They just don't get the damage numbers added. Maybe the Infested doesn't have a stagger effect. Or no, you know what? He might be just out of that 5 meter range. So, but yeah, that's what Blast does. Okay, so we went over the 5 elements that we're testing. We went over what all the elements do. Now I'm going to explain exactly what I did for these tests. So this was all done on Steel Path Mott in the Void, which is going to be the Corrupted or Orican. They're called Corrupted or Orican. I think the node says Orican, but it's Corrupted. And I did 5 runs, 5 minutes for each element. And I did that on the Prisma Grokata. The reason I chose the Prisma Grokata is because it's an extremely average weapon. It has average IPS, it has average stats, its status chance is not super high, and it's not super low, it's right in the middle. I also made sure I stripped off any kind of RNG mods on the Grokata, like if you look at Galvanized Aptitude, I would usually use with the Grokata, but it's a little bit too RNG. Sometimes it's weaker than Serration, and sometimes it's stronger than Serration. I didn't want that, so I just took Galvanized Aptitude off. I put Serration on because Serration is just a constant 165. I did leave my headshot conditionals on, and that's just because I know I'm able to stay at max cap for them. So they're not really RNG if they're just always at max cap. So I know I'm able to stay at max cap, so I just left those on. And that's what I did. Now, the only thing is that the Prisma Grokata is a low alpha damage weapon. It shoots very fast, it has good DPS, but each individual bullet is super, super low. The paper damage of each bullet is only 200 damage or less. So I did another set of tests. Let me show you the weapon I did it with. Again, it's a super average weapon. It just is a little bit different in the alpha damage category. Prisma Grinlock. And if we look here, the Prisma Grinlock is going to shoot slower, but each bullet does more damage. So this is a high alpha damage weapon. And the paper damage on this is about 2,000. So each bullet is about 10 times more powerful than each bullet out of the Grokata. Their DPSs are about the same, It's just how they get their DPS. You know, one shoots a lot of low damaging bullets and one shoots a lower amount of more damaging bullets. I chose the Grinlock, same reason. Super average. It has full IPS, nothing crazy about it. And I stripped off all the RNG mods also. So, and same thing, 5 runs, 5 minutes, each element. So, okay, that is what I did. I think we are about ready to get into that PowerPoint presentation here, guys. You ready? Here we go. We're going to start with the Garakata first. All right, Prisma Garakata, low alpha damage. This is the kill counts for 5-minute runs. So Viral got first, with Electric in second. Super, super close, though. Viral and Electric were so close that if I was to redo these runs, there's a chance Electric just, you know, beats Viral, or maybe Viral keeps winning. Like, they're only a 10-kill difference in, you know, almost 2,000 kills. So it's not definitive that Viral's better than Electric, and it's not definitive that Electric is second place or that Electric could be first place. They're just so close to each other that they're kind of the same. So Viral, in its 5 runs, it got 361, 360, 384, 402, 407 for a total in 5 runs of 1,914 kills. And Electric got 396, 356, 361, 360, and 431 for a total in its 5 runs of 1,904 kills. Viral was pretty consistent. There wasn't any huge outliers. Electric did have an outlier. That 431 run was pretty high. So that was one outlier that was pretty high compared to the other numbers. All the other numbers were kind of like mid, maybe high 300s. And then it had that one 431 outlier. Corrosive got third place with 408, 368, 337, 357, and 320 for a total of 1,790 kills in 5 runs. Not like too crazy as far as the highest and the lowest. The lowest was what, 320. The highest was 408. It's like 80-ish kills. That's not too bad. Could have been a little bit, you know, flatter of a score there, but that's okay. Gas in 5th place with 320, 279, 326, 331, and 369 for a total in 5 runs of 1,625. Those were all pretty consistent. The 279 was a little bit low. All the other ones were low to mid 300s. Blast in last place with 274, 287, 322, 299, and 309 for a total of 1,491 kills. So if you've been watching all the other tests we've done throughout the week, Blast is consistently, except for Murmur. Murmur is the only thing where Blast is a little bit weird. I still don't fully understand why it works weirdly on Murmur. But on every other faction we've done, Blast is consistently low in scoring when it comes to low alpha damage weapons. And then when we look at high alpha damage weapons, it consistently is really good. So I think that's just going to be a constant for it. It's probably true for Murmur too. Maybe the Murmur, my testing was just not great or something. I don't really know why the Murmur was so weird with Blast, but every other test we've done, Blast has worked about the same. And you'll see here that Gas didn't do very well, but when we go over to the high alpha, it's a completely different story. So, okay, so that's the Garakata there. Let's switch over to the Prisma Grinlock, the high alpha. Let me go back to my Naros real quick, and then go to the Prisma Grinlock. Okay, so Prisma Grinlock here. Electric still in second place, still did really good. Blast boosted itself up like we've seen in the past. It boosted itself up on high alpha. And then weirdly, just Gas went from 5th place to 1st place. By a lot, by like 300 kills over Electric. So, okay, we'll start with Gas first. So Gas got 522, 465, 406, 390, and 415 for a total in 5 runs of 2,198 kills. It did have one low outlier and it had one high outlier. So the low is the 390 and the high was the 522. It's actually better if it has a low and a high outlier because that just means that they should be somewhere in the middle. So like this should probably be in like the mid 400s is where it's hitting. Electric got 337, 387, 411, 386, and 364 for a total in 5 runs of 1,885. This had a higher outlier. It's not super high, 411 compared to the others. Actually, it's about the same. It had a low outlier with that 337, so that might have hurt it a bit. But, I mean, it's still comfortably in second place. Blast isn't too far behind, though. So, Blast third place with 350, 390, 348, 356, and 363 for a total in 5 runs of 1,807 kills. You know, we've seen this before where Blast gets better with high alpha, and I reckon if you can get a weapon with even higher alpha, which isn't hard because the Grinlock is not super high alpha, but if you can get a weapon with even higher alpha, Blast is going to work better and better and better. So as long as it's Grinlock levels or higher, I think it's pretty safe to put Blast on. And like I said, Grinlock is not a super high alpha, so it's not hard to be at Grinlock levels or higher. All right, Viral and Corrosive came in last year. So Viral is the one that should be really good against Corrupted, and it was. You know, we're testing all of the elements that are good against Corrupted. We're not testing the ones, you know, we're not testing Radiation because we know it's going to be bad. We're not testing Cold because even though Cold has some really cool externals you can use to make, you know, have some like cool combos and make it a lot stronger, but Cold by itself is not really competitive with anything. Magnetic's not going to be competitive with anything. So it's not like, you know, I'm saying Viral and Corrosive are horrible. They're the weakest of the best elements against Corrupted. I guess that's the best way to say it. They're the weakest of the best elements against Corrupted. What I will say in Viral and Corrosive's case is they are consistent. They consistently feel good against Corrupted. Gas and Electric, you know, a lot of your strength from Gas and Electric are those dots. It's the area of effect. As soon as you only have a single dude in front of you, I would probably rather have like Viral or Corrosive on my weapon. But as soon as there's more than one dude, if there's 2 dudes that are kind of close to each other, Gas and Electric will win out, definitely. So, okay, anyway, Viral in 5th place with 318, 337, 315, 361, 349 for a total in 5 runs of 1,680 kills. Oh my god, why did I put that infested guy back there? He's been screaming this entire video. Corrosive in 5th place. Did I say Viral's in 5th? Viral's in 4th. Corrosive's in 5th. That infested guy is screaming and throwing me off. Corrosive with 310, 330, 322, 344, and 335 for a total in 5 runs of 1,641 kills. So Viral and Corrosive very close to each other. Even if I'm just going to switch real quick back to the Grakata. Even in the Grakata's case, like Viral and Corrosive, well, I guess Viral was a bit better than Corrosive there. Not by much, by about 100 kills. Again, if I was to redo this test and I was to get like really lucky with Corrosive, it could probably beat Viral. Or if I got really unlucky with Viral, maybe it loses to Corrosive. So like 100 kill difference is not too much. Once they're over 100 kills, then you can kind of start looking at the data there. So I guess Viral is about more than 100 kills. Not much more though. We go back to the Grinlock here. Gas though. Gas 300 kills over Electric. Electric about 100 kills, a little bit less than 100 kills over Blast. And Blast is over 100 kills more than Viral and Corrosive. So, okay. Let's go back to the thing here. And let me put this little infested guy out of his misery because he is pissing me off. Screaming this whole video. My Grinlock's got no conditionals, but we killed him anyway. That made me feel better. Okay. So yeah, that's a test. Electric and Gas have been consistently really, really powerful on pretty much every faction. The only thing was this experiment, this time against Corrupted, it wasn't that great on the low alpha part of it. The low alpha part, Gas and Electric, well, I guess Electric was second place on the low alpha. But Gas, Gas was kind of like towards the back end there. But on every other faction, Gas and Electric has been nuts. And Blast has been consistently amazing on high alpha. Low alpha, no. Low alpha, it always starts in the back. But on high alpha, well, again, unless it's Murmur for some reason. I don't know why Murmur's so weird. So, Yeah, that's corrupted. So that should be all 5 factions that we hit. Now, tomorrow, my plan is to do the elements that I have not tested yet against the factions that I want to test them on. Or the same thing with you guys. If you guys have anything that you want to see that I have not tested yet, that is what I'll do tomorrow. So, for instance, in my Grineer video, I didn't test gas and electric, and those have been good against every faction, except I don't know Grineer. So I want to test them against Grineer. So that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to add them to the test. I might add cold to a few factions too, because I only tested cold against one faction. So I might add cold to see how it does. If there's any other extras that you want to see for elements, that's what I'll do tomorrow. And then on Friday will be the big breakdown of all of it. So, Friday we can say, okay, this is probably going to be your best general element. This is probably going to be your best element against, so-and-so. And so we'll have more of like a conclusion on Friday. So these are short videos, but they take me a really long time to do all the testing. So I hope you guys liked it. If you liked the video, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And I hope you guys have a great day. All right. Bye, guys.